Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Terry, and thank you, colleagues. This is the third and final time that I will stand here and address you as the chair of the Royal College of GPs. In both of my previous speeches, I've used a story or metaphor to illustrate the value of general practice and medical generalism, to point out the pressures we are under and how essential our service is in and of itself and to the wider NHS. My first speech compared general practice to the wall of a dam under huge pressure from rising waters and with downstream services protected by the dam wall, but in grave danger of being overwhelmed should the wall give in to the pressure and burst. Last year in Glasgow, I spoke about my own family's experience of illness and premature death, and how the world has changed such that managing multimorbidity, with all that means for medical generalists, is perhaps the greatest challenge for the NHS in the 21st century. And I also spoke about how we in the NHS need to collaborate and work with each other. In this, my final speech to you, I'd like to consider leadership, what that's meant for me and what it means to you. And I also want to reflect a little on the themes of previous years. When thinking about leadership, it's common to look at history and literature for case studies of the lives of great leaders. A number of courses and programmes use such examples to illustrate leadership skills, and one text commonly used for this is Shakespeare's Henry V. Many of you will know the play or the story, but in terms of a leadership journey, it goes something like this. Henry, the king, has a vision for England to reconquer lands previously held in France. He is highly effective in communicating this vision to his nobles and his troops. He has to deal with doubters. In this analogy, they are traitors and promptly executed. Not a leadership strategy I personally recommend. On the eve of battle, he undergoes what's often described as a long, dark night of the soul. What am I doing? I'll be leading my loyal troops to slaughter. My name will live in infamy. Poor Henry. However, he then goes on to inspire his team. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. He demonstrates the superiority of his strategy over the enemy and wins the Battle of Agincourt against overwhelming odds. Now, it's notable that Henry V is usually chosen for these exercises, as opposed to other, more infamous Shakespearean leaders such as Macbeth. Yet, when you look closer at the two characters' leadership journeys, there are common themes. Macbeth has a vision, albeit communicated by three witches. His vision to become King of Scotland. He communicates his vision to Lady Macbeth. He deals with the person standing in his way. He stabs the good King Duncan in his sleep. And he and Lady Macbeth then spend the rest of the play in their own long, dark night of the soul, becoming lost in regret and madness. I can't see much evidence of teamwork, but he did become king, and the witch's vision or prophecy was fulfilled. So what's the difference between Henry V and Macbeth? I'd suggest that it comes down to leading based on the right vision and the skills and determination to see it through into reality. Now, if literature and Shakespeare aren't your thing, we can think about lessons from another medium, such as, let me think, Star Wars, obviously. Now, just look at the leadership journeys of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Obviously, clear similarities with Henry V and Macbeth. But how about Princess Leia or my personal favourite, Han Solo? Both of whom lead and achieve without being able to draw upon those very nifty Jedi powers. Everyone has a leadership role to play and a journey to go on in their own way. So how does this translate to the leadership journey within a general practice context? What will we, as GP leaders in practices in local health economies at regional, national or international level achieve? What is our vision for leadership? How do we react when obstacles in our way seem insurmountable? And do we end up with Agincourt or Dunsinane, the Death Star or galactic liberty? It would be tempting at this point to talk at length about my own leadership journey over the past 3 years and what your college has achieved in terms of our Put Patients First Back general practice campaign. And make no mistake, I'm immensely proud of the way in which the college has run this campaign and the way in which you as members have worked to get its message across. Together, we have made the crisis in general practice a national talking point in the media, in all 4 national legislatures and amongst the public. 330,000 of whom signed our petition calling for more investment in general practice. And together we have made a difference. In Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, we've secured additional funding for primary care and a new drive to tackle GP workforce shortages. And in England, we have secured the General Practice Forward View with its historic pledge to increase spending in general practice by at least £2.4 billion a year by 2020 and to increase the number of GPs by 5,000. But I feel strongly that this speech, that this conference, should be about the future and your own leadership journeys to come for the betterment of general practice. Last week, we issued a story challenging the denigration of general practice in medical schools and indeed the wider NHS. 2 years ago, when we were in Liverpool, I made a comment in one of our conference sessions about the toxic culture in medical schools against general practice. Simon Wesley, the president of the Royal College of Psychiatrists, and I have written in the latest edition of the British Journal of General Practice, warning that the systematic denigration of our disciplines in medical schools is risking patient safety and stripping patients of their dignity. Our editorial draws on research that shows general practice and psychiatry are the 2 most bad-mouthed specialties within medical schools. And we highlight evidence that this is a tangible impact on medical students' choice of specialty. We speak out against the hierarchy that has been created in medical schools that puts physical health over mental health, specialism over generalism, hospital over community care, and medical specialties against non-medical ones. And we call for this hierarchy to be replaced by respect and understanding throughout medicine that all specialties are important, that all specialties have their own sets of skills and values, and the NHS will only function properly when we have sufficient numbers of doctors practicing in all those specialties. NHS England has recognised the importance of our profession. Its chief executive, Simon Stevens, has even said that there is arguably no more important job in modern Britain than that of the family doctor. Our patients value our service as well, with 92% reporting trust and confidence in the last GP they saw, according to the latest GP patient survey. Health Education England have recognised it too and are striving to achieve the government's target to increase the number of GPs in England by 5,000. But this will not be possible when forces from within are working against our efforts. The denigration of general practice has to stop. The college is doing what we can to challenge misplaced and archaic stereotypes, and our Think GP campaign aims to show what a fantastic career choice general practice can be. But it's clear that more needs to be done from within medical schools and medicine as a whole. This is an area where we collectively can show leadership. We need to tackle this culture and not condone it. We need to stand up for ourselves, our colleagues, our students, and our patients. I've spoken to students who say they are told general practice isn't medical or isn't intellectually stimulating. Now, we know that a GP might see 50 or more patients in a day, all presenting different conditions of different complexity and severity. Yet identifying and treating such a multitude of conditions isn't deemed by some as intellectually stimulating or even medical. Here at the college, we will be launching our own student-led campaign to change perceptions of general practice in medical schools. In a few days' time, students will be discussing this issue in this very venue, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can achieve when they take the lead in dealing with this endemic problem. As well as GP societies and our trainees, it's a leadership challenge for all of us to stand up to the denigration of our profession. This is not just a matter of taking pride in the important job we do. It's about securing the future GP workforce. If students are put off becoming GPs, this will only worsen the crisis we face in general practice. Our growing patient population needs general practice. Our overstretched acute sector needs general practice. Our NHS needs general practice. And general practice needs new GPs every year to address the current shortfall. This is a key leadership challenge for our profession, because if we don't produce enough GPs, then, returning to my original analogy of the dam, we don't repair and strengthen the wall of the dam. The consequence will be that general practice will implode and the NHS be overwhelmed. Now, I know that there will be some within the profession who doubt whether the dam really will be strengthened. The promises in the GP Forward View may be there, but right now, the pressures that general practice is under are so great that it can be hard to believe that the vision of well-funded general practice at centre stage of the NHS is achievable and not simply a pipe dream. And it's important that we do not shy away from recognising just how tough things are at the moment and the length of the journey that still lies ahead of us. But I believe that things can be different, that together we can turn the tide so that in future we have many more GPs staying on in the workforce for longer, with general practice recognised as the fulfilling place to work that it ought to be. Of course there will be setbacks, but when these occur, it's important that we don't go into retreat, but overcome them and hold true to our vision. The college has a central role in doing this by tracking the funding going into general practice and the realities of what it's like to be a GP. Being able to demonstrate the fall in investment over the past decade was a powerful factor in securing the pledges in the GP Forward View and other announcements in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. But it's not just at the national level that the leadership challenge for general practice is being played out. Increasingly, we are seeing many of the most crucial decisions being taken at regional and local level. Today, here at our conference, Helen Irvin, public health consultant in Glasgow and Clyde, will be sharing startling research illustrating how the failure to invest sufficiently in general practice has led directly to pressures in the acute sector at local level. Now, I think this is something we pretty much knew, and it's certainly something we've been saying. But this research and the data used to build it really makes a powerful evidence-based point that I think is far too strong to ignore. So, talking about local level, the college has supported the formation of STPs in England as a critically important new initiative in the NHS that can function as a regional engine room for a more collaborative approach to shaping services and dealing with challenges, such as the huge increase in multiple long-term conditions within the patient population nationwide. And the STPs will play a crucial role in shaping the future development of the NHS over the next 5 years. However, strengthening general practice should be at the heart of what they are about. But in many areas, our local RCGP representatives are struggling against an agenda that's focused on plugging ever-increasing hospital deficits. This is a false vision, which, like that of the witches in Macbeth, may seem to offer short-term gain, but will ultimately plunge the NHS into a vicious downward spiral, resulting in disintegration and disaster. Let us not allow this to happen on our watch. The general practice perspective must be fed in to any health system transformation. Let us galvanise our colleagues, our patients and our communities to stand up for general practice in our localities so that it can remain the foundation stone of the NHS. Let us lead the development of multidisciplinary teams so that we can deliver better care to patients with complex and multiple conditions and create an NHS fit for the 21st century. Let us lead the development of new forms of organisation that can improve the range of services we offer to practices, from federations, first championed by this college, to multi-specialty community providers. And let us continue to assert the case for more investment into general practice. Based on limited information about STPs that has been published, very few contain specific pledges to earmark extra funding for general practice. Some barely acknowledge general practice at all. If STPs fail to deliver the funding for general practice from the Sustainability and Transformation Fund, then the Family Doctor Service stands to lose up to £760 million by 2020-21. So I call on Simon Stevens to require all STPs to publish their financial plans and for him to make crystal clear that unless they commit to invest more in general practice, their plans will be rejected and responsibility for the fund regionally should be withheld from non-compliant STPs. There is a need for strong leadership from clinical commissioning groups too. The college's latest analysis of local commissioning by CCGs in England reveals that by the end of this financial year, 2016-17, they are on course to underspend by more than £33 million in general practice. This is not loose change down the back of a sofa. It's double what NHS England planned to spend on resilience teams this year, and it's the same amount as is due to be spent on tackling the problem of indemnity. It's real money that can make a real difference. The failure to spend money earmarked for general practice on general practice is a national disgrace. And it's high time that CCGs realise that general practice is a vital component of the local healthcare system, not a fringe activity that can be used as a way of trimming the fat off their budgets. We'll be contacting CCGs straight after conference to tell them to utilise their budgets as they are meant to be used, to provide better support to local GPs and practices. Meanwhile, the perfect storm of declining investment, a static workforce, and increasing demand is still threatening. We may have won the battle of the GP forward view, but we must not be complacent about making sure that every last pledge is delivered. And under the leadership of our devolved council chairs, we must redouble our efforts to win a comprehensive set of commitments in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland too. We must hold fast to our vision and never give it up. The last 3 years have not been easy as chair of the college. But then, it's not been easy to be a frontline GP either. And I've been both. However, I do believe there are better times ahead. Looking back on my time in post, I'm pleased to say that the narrative around general practice is changing. Politicians and civil servants across the UK now seem to have got it, that general practice is the cornerstone of the NHS, that there is no more important job in modern Britain than that of the family doctor, that if general practice fails, the whole NHS fails. We now need to build on what we have achieved so far and move into a new era for general practice. I know you'll be in safe hands as you work together to achieve this under the leadership of my successor, Helen Stokes-Lampard. Helen, let me tell you now, there is no greater privilege than being chair of the RCGP. And it doesn't half pay to have a working knowledge of Henry V. I wish Helen and you all the very best for the future. At this stage, I'm sorely tempted to say, may the force be with you. But I think I'll settle for good luck, goodbye, and thank you.